What we really need today is a China expert. Unfortunately, we do have Ilaria Mazzacco joining us, Deputy Director, Chinese Business and Economics at the Center for Strategic and International Studies, and joins the program right now. Welcome back. Thank you for coming on with us. 145%, does it matter the number now, the 140, 150, or are we just kind of frozen with China? Well, how do you see it?
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. Yeah, I completely agree that after a certain level, it really doesn't matter what the number is, right? What matters is that it's really high, and it's sending a signal to businesses that you can't really import very easily from China, and vice versa, right? Because China has also introduced very high retaliatory measures, right? I think last time I looked, it was 84% tariffs on American exports, and then of course there's also retaliatory measures towards American companies and export controls towards the United States.
So I guess the question is now, as they negotiate, your president says China wants to make a deal. What kind of deal can be struck? On the tablet here, we'll put it up on the screen. We have the manufacturing fight between these two countries, kind of a tail of the tape. Left side of the screen, the United States, right side of the screen, China, because we've always wondered, Ilaria, if they would, if companies are going to move supply chains. You see employees, China's got a lot of people, we know that, but they don't pay them as much, $6.67 an hour on average versus $26.68 for the U.S. And you see on down the list there all the numbers, including the trade balance that the president likes to talk about so much. So what do companies do now? Do they start moving out of China for real? Did yesterday provide any certainty that they might be able to operate in other countries? What do you think's next?
Well, companies have been trying to diversify outside of China, right?
True.
And a lot of companies have started move manufacturing to Southeast Asia. Apple has been producing in India. And of course, the tariffs have complicated that a little bit. But I will also point out that American companies sell a lot in China, right? Mm-hmm. The Chinese market also matters, for a lot of companies that may be producing in China for the Chinese market as well. And so they are facing a complicated geopolitical environment, right? Let's point out Tesla, for example, has a factory in China and is the third largest company in China, right? So they could certainly find themselves in a difficult position on this front, even if the trade itself is not an issue, right? Because they're not exporting those cars from China to the United States. So some companies may stay in China. I think they've made investments for decades, but they may definitely be trying to avoid any of that the trade tariffs. I think then there's the complicated issue of companies that may be trying to diversify their value chains, and they don't quite know what tariffs they're going to be facing in other countries. I'll point out that Vietnam, on April 2nd, that the tariff that was announced was 46%, which is incredibly high. Now it's gone back down to 10%, but we don't know what it's going to be like in 90 days.
No, we don't. But at least it gives the Treasury Secretary some sort of a basis to negotiate, whereas that other number just didn't make any sense to anyone. So now they could work off 10% up or down. We'll see where they get with those countries. The thing I would think about going the other way, you talked about U.S. businesses doing business in China or U.S. companies, is what about coming in? And one of the companies that you think of off the top of your head that helps facilitate a lot of that obviously would be Amazon, right? And the CEO was on TV today, Andy Jassy, talking about costs and whether they get passed on. Here's what he said.
I'm guessing that sellers will pass that cost on.
Fully.
I think they'll try, and I understand why. I mean, depending on which country you're in, you don't have 50% extra margin that you can play with.
And we get a lot of cheap stuff from China, but that's a big number to pass on if it's 100 and some odd percent. What do you think is going to happen?
Well, look, I mean, if anybody looks around their house, a lot of items are made in China, right? Just think of laptops, for example. There was 145% tariffs that was just confirmed. Then, and on top of that, there was an existing 7.5% tariff. So that's 152.5% tariffs on laptops. The U.S. gets over 70% of its imported laptops from China, right? So out of all the laptops that get imported, it's over 80% for smartphones. It's less for something like washing machines, but you can go down the list, toys, etc. A lot of things come through China, or at least part of the value chain, right? Like smartphones, they're not entirely made in China, but right. they would be facing tariffs. And so I think that just gives us a sense of how significant this is, right? How integrated the two economies are, which I think is the reason why the president would like to reach a deal. But the question is, what deal is on the table? And I think we don't really know at this point.
Thanks so much for watching. Just go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.